folks. It is Hobby Talk with PSA Canada for April 27, 2023, the post Expo edition. And by the way, I've done, hopefully, those of you who are joining us, thank you for joining us as always. I know it's a very busy night in the sports world. I was chatting with Brad and with Luke, and it's like, we got the NFL draft going on. I got my Packers picking 13th. I'm watching. I'm watching in the corner of my eye. I want to see what they end up doing. But yeah, you got the NFL draft going on. You got the hockey games going on. It is busy. Lamar Jackson signed a contract. It's busy times, man. It's really busy times. But we're going to have some fun with it. We'll talk a little bit about Expo. We'll do a little postmortem. I'll do a little bit more on the Friday show. I'll expand on the stories a little bit. But we'll have a couple that we'll share tonight. I was out and about a little bit more than these guys. They did spend a lot of time at the booth, but we'll definitely talk about that a little bit as well. So before we get into everything else, let me quickly, I'll show the posting from Instagram. So whenever you want to check out upcoming shows and stuff, we'll do the Instagram, but I do recommend to you, and it's scrolling across the bottom as well, so I do recommend you check it out if you want to see anything that's coming up. But I'll share this one from from a little bit ago that covers some of the shows that already happened now, but also some of the ones that are upcoming. Because they got May 5th to 7th in Edmonton, and then you got May 12th to 14th in Montreal. Now, guys, is there anything else you want to add that's upcoming a little bit after that or around this time or anything else here?
No, I think that's it. We do have the Halifax show coming up. Dougie can put the link there. I know Dougie's in the chat. That's what we were just talking about. Yep. Which will be good. No, that's it. That looks good. We're looking forward to going to Edmonton and Montreal, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. So we'll start off with that, and now we'll roll into it. So Expo. So the two of them, Spring Expo tends to be a little bit smaller than the Fall Expo, but I would say very strong. I'll be honest. I found there were a couple of days where the traffic was pretty busy. I hang out with a lot of different dealers and stuff. I wasn't spending too much time at the PSA Canada booth, although I did wander by and say hello to all the guys and everybody working there, and Sherry as well. And had a little bit of fun with it. I did enjoy. Got a chance to look at some interesting cards that were being brought over there. Even got to consult on a few while I happened to be by the booth. Tried to help out a little bit where I could. But you guys obviously had a very busy time. How did you find it in terms of volume and busyness? How scale of 1 to 10, Brad? How did you feel about the busyness of the booth going on this time around?
Yeah, we were busy from open till close again. Realistically, our goal was that we always tried to get to finish off the line. That happened a few different times, but people were really good. They realized, we told everybody that we're going to get everyone's cards by the end of the day. It's no problem. We'll make sure we get everyone's submissions taken care of. And I almost feel like people were looking at that. So they'd wait. There'd be 10 to 15 people in the line that would move every 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So the line would always just refresh with about 10 people, which was great because we didn't want to see anyone stand in line for too long of a time. That's for sure. So
Yep. And obviously the line for autograph signings for Luke, your crowd control was good. We'll talk a little bit about the fandom for Luke. That's a different conversation. And I'll share a couple stories. I was telling Luke what I like about this particular expo, and I'll talk about a few tonight, and then I'll expand a little bit more on Friday, is that every single one of the cards that I picked up had at least a little bit of a story going into it. It wasn't just I walked up to a table and then saw a card and then threw money at them and then that was the end of it. Almost all of them had a little something associated to it, which I like. It's a lot more fun than that. Brad and Luke, we bought tons of cards in our lifetime. But going on eBay or whatever, hitting buy it now or whatever, there's no story to that. That's not exciting. But if you go to the show and there's a little bit of a thing, I can tell you, I purchased at this expo the very first card that I ever purchased that involved a coin toss. That was the first time in my life I've ever had a card where the price was determined by coin toss. We had that. I lost it. I'm very bitter. But the point is that we have that. That's something that adds a little story to that card. That was part of it. Then there was the one that I'll share a little story where Luke is, peripherally involved in that one. So that one's got a little story going into it. So that's a little bit more fun for me. That's something you can do at a show that you really can't do in a lot of these other venues. And that adds a little something to it. I think that's more fun. And that's something to give us a little something to show experience. And one more thing I'll add as well, as usual, and this is more a me thing, I appreciate the compliment of snacks, possibly behind a curtain somewhere. And somebody brought donuts. My compliments to the donuts. I got the Boston cream donut, and I was very excited about this. That might have been the highlight of the show for me. Somebody brought donuts, and there was Boston cream donut there when I got there. My compliments to the chef. That's all I'm saying. Just throwing it out there. That's more of a me thing than anybody else, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I'll read a couple of comments here first. Good evening, Jeff. Perfect. First time of the blog, and then good evening, Doug. And I got a good chance to chat with Doug a little bit, and that's always fun. I get a chance to see a lot of the folks, so that's always a good time. Hope you're all rested from the expo and PSA orders. I laughed because when I did a conversation, somebody was saying, I hope you're well rested from the expo. Actually, I'm good. I have the easy job. You guys are the ones that were rolling through it. I'm basically just BSing with people while I'm there, and trying to do the odd deal here and there, and that's basically all I was doing. Good evening, Paul, and good evening, Yannick. Perfect. And don't forget, everybody, the like button, as always, is sponsored by Eric. Whether he's here or not, we charge him for it. So just feel free to throw that in there. Hit the like button. So real quick, I'll share a couple of stories, and then we'll chat a little bit with you guys. As you mentioned, obviously, you guys were consistently busy, and every time I walked by, I saw that as well. And there were a lot of cards coming in. How did you feel the flow of cards was relative to the last couple of shows? Right around on par? Did you get about the same? A little more, a little less?
I don't know for sure until probably towards the end of next week.
Sure.
But I'll say we took in 2 times. I'm going to be a little optimistic. Definitely 50% more. We might even have doubled the amount of submissions that we took in. I will say I noticed more volume than higher end cards.
Sure.
Which is always good. I mean, that's good for us. The higher end cards are always great to see, but they always end up being a lot more work as well. Understandably why. But yeah, 50% for sure over the last show increase. Maybe even double. I mean, we have an absolute ton of cards. So
yeah, the impression I got is it felt like with the flow of people coming in, it felt like a lot of cards are moving. So that's pretty good. Let me ask you guys this question. Unusual or interesting card. Doesn't have to be expensive. Was there anything that you saw that was a little bit more unusual or interesting that caught your eye that you got a chance to see while you were at the booth? So let me start off with Luke first. What do you think, Luke?
Just trying to think. No, you know what? I don't think there was.
Okay.
Yeah,
no.
There's usually always something, but I was at the same thing. Like
I felt bad because I totally forgot the Macho Man card. I realized that when I came over, I was like, "Damn it, I forgot." I'll actually just mail that one to you. I'll mail that one to you because I want the Macho card. I think it's a cool card. It should be there, but I totally forgot.
I think the most interesting card I saw wasn't a submitted card.
Okay,
but definitely for sure is the one that Brad picked up, and he might be looking at it for it right now. But
so you did get it. So you got one.
Yeah, it just came back. It just came back today. So.
I love how ridiculously gigantic the slab is to try to accommodate. And they got it with the tab too. That's pretty good. What's the grade on that?
This one's 6.
All right. So that's actually an example. That I have actually got one of those cards.
Yeah.
So I'll show the ungraded one. So I got one of those. Yeah. So this is the one I'm gonna send that Brad's way. I do want to get that encapsulated. But obviously, like that holder is comical. I love when they have to fit it in one of those. Like, here's the thing in a top loader, but it's downright comical size, and they did have it with the tabs. So kudos to them for getting the full piece with the tab.
Big time. It's nice that the tabs are there on the sides to hold it into place. Like that makes because there's a lot of tickets that come back that twist and turn. So I know PSA is always working on some new innovations, but as you can imagine, with the volume, it does become difficult. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And CC, good evening. Good evening, absolutely. And I think CC was one of the folks. I will add a quick note. When we get to the Fall Expo, I'll kind of plan it out with the guys a little bit ahead of time. This time around, we're kind of playing it by ear. Because I'll be honest, I wasn't sure leading in which days I was going to come in, how that was going to look. I have to coordinate with Brad to get the ticket, to get like, the little wristband thing ahead of time. And we were all figuring that out on the fly and just trying to make it work. We'll plan better for the fall. It'll be easier because we went in with the best of intentions. Wanted to have some content on the channel. Didn't have time. Didn't have the opportunity. We'll do a better job, I think, in the fall. And the other thing we'll do is I'll try to find some time where we'll be able to like set up a brief little hangout somewhere where we can at least chat for a little bit. And if somebody wants to come by, that'll be the easiest way to find everybody.
Yeah.
50% more volume compared to the Fall Expo sounds very healthy for the hobby. Seemed to be like, honestly, the vibe I got at the show, a lot of people seem to be enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
And Eric failed us all by not being there. It's terrible. He should have been strapped to the top of Yannick's car and disappointed us all. And I sent him a picture of, I went to the bargain bin and I found some Ray Bork, Bobby Orr or something. It was like in the dollar bin or something, like dual autograph thing. Like no one even knows who these guys are, but I found them. They were all there. Easy stuff.
It'll be good to talk to Steve Menzie. We've been texting back and forth a little bit, but just to see where the numbers were, because I know from everything that I gathered from every dealer that I talked to was they were. I can't really comment exactly on sales, but every dealer I talked to was so positive that Dougie said it was the best show he's ever had in Toronto. Like it was great to see. There was lots of money changing hands, going left, right, and center. Oh my gosh, that's the first time I've seen Carlos fumble something. I like that.
I was literally looking at something on the screen on the side. I'm like, ugh. It's all right. It's all good. Fortunately, I didn't drop the important one. That one I can live with, but this one I would be very upset. I would be extremely upset.
Slippery coaster.
Yeah, not so good, man. Not so good. Listen, these coasters, you got to be they're sneaky. Like, I got to tell you, I'll show it on Friday. But sneaky. This coaster's very sneaky. But yes, it was a good. I will say I will agree with a lot of the dealer friends that I had. I think that for the most part they did well. I think the only variation that I saw that was interesting is I saw for some of them certain days were better than others, and it seemed to be a mixed bag because some of them were telling me that like Friday was pretty good and Sunday was pretty good. For some of them, the Saturday was pretty good. Very few. Most of them had a little bit of consistency to it, but certain days did seem to be better. But it was a mixed bag. Which ones were the better ones? Because it seemed to depend on the dealer and what they had. And that's what I thought was interesting because some of them insisted, oh, Saturday was the best day. And some of them flat out said, oh, no, my Friday was way better. It was like, oh, interesting. Interesting that you both would get two completely different experiences for the same thing. It evened out in the end. Like some for Sunday had a good Sunday, Friday, or combination. Some had a good VIP night. So like it very much depended on which person it was and what they were trying to do. And some of them, of course, had them deals before the show opened. And then they moved stuff at that time. But that's normal. You do expect a little bit of that as well. So I'll throw that out there. So as far as the interesting pickups, we talked about that. Now I'll share a quick story with Brad, and then I'll share a quick story with Luke. I did get a couple of chances to talk with Brad, but one of them was over at the Upper Deck booth. So Brad was picking up some fun stuff for the Upper Deck Authenticated for some items. They had some nice stuff there, pricey stuff, but you were able to do a little bit of a little bit different shopping than most. What did you find? I think some of the stuff's going for the store. I think a little bit of combinations, some stuff like that.
Yeah, some of the stuff for personal, some stuff for some friends, and I always try to support. Diane's a good friend of mine with Upper Deck, and I always try to do a little bit of shopping at everyone's booth. So that was awesome. One thing I do wish that Upper Deck would do, and I mentioned this time, it's hard logistically, but to bring up even more stuff, some more stuff besides just hockey, because Upper Deck, with the amount of stuff that they do have, they have some absolutely stunning pieces, but logistically getting them across the border with the price tags on them, if they don't sell, shipping them back, all that stuff, I can see why, but there's nobody that does pieces like Upper Deck, in my opinion.
Very nice, very nice. Now, I'll share a story involving Luke as well. We talked about that one already a little bit. So one of the, I would say the first day that I was there, so I was there on the Friday and the Saturday. Those were the two ones. I did hang out a little bit on the Sunday as well, but those were the two main days that I spent. So on the Friday, I came over. One of the first deals that I got done, and what's the gentleman's name, Luke? Help me out on this one.
John.
John. Perfect. So John, who watches the show, big fan of Luke. I did enjoy when we were in the middle of having a conversation. He recognized my voice from the show. So, just John, if you're listening, there, shout out to you. But what I thought was perfect and appropriate to it was that he enjoys Luke's contributions to the show. And then we were in the middle of a negotiation, and then the negotiation ended when Luke's name was dropped. So as soon as we were done, the negotiation was done, and the price was met. And the other thing I mentioned to Luke after when we were talking about it was I was having a little bit of fun, in that it's thematically appropriate that the card that we were negotiating on when Luke's name got the negotiation stopped was a Jason Robertson card. Just how apropos, Luke's guy. We got that taken care of. So thank you to John. Thank you, John, for that. That was I think my first deal of the show. I think that was the first one I got done. And then the floodgates open from there. Lots of different cards that fit into these different things. I was not planning. I had to go back. What I'll say is, if you do attend a lot of these shows, it's good to have a lot of friends. It's good to have a lot of friends who are dealers and they're operating these different things. I went to my feeless ATM a few times. I had to go over, hey, can I have some cash for this? And then you pay them back and transfer it over. But that does save you on fees. So pro tip, if you do know people enough at the show and you can go in and get the feeless ATM, it's much better than going into the machine and paying the extra costs that are associated with that.
Yeah, John said that he would have given you a better discount if he had mentioned Brad's name, not mine. So next time mention Brad's name, right?
It's possible. It's true to get the big discount. So Nova was asking this question, and I think Sherry here's responded. It depends on the item. Drop by them. Take a peek for you. Perfect. Thank you for that. And I can say, though, that they for sure encapsulate stuff like those photos. Definitely seen that. Like that Macho Man card is close to that size. It's not quite exactly, but it's like size-wise, it's very similar. It's obviously of different shape. I would say a 4x6 photo, you're probably going to get a different holder than that. I don't think it's going to be quite as absurd as that one, but this one is obviously a more different shape in terms of size for a card, so to speak.
Yeah. It just depends. Like if it's just a photo, like it has to be an issued to go through PSA. It has to be some sort of an issued document / it can't just be a 4x6 photo that you printed off at the, I was just going to say the local photo studio. Do they even have those
Well, it would
anymore?
work. Where you could do it is if it was a DNA thing.
100%.
If it was like a say an index card and you printed something on the front of it and the person autographed it, then they don't really care so much. It's because your autograph authentication is what you're actually doing. They'll just put it in the holder and be done with it. But otherwise, it's got to be like a licensed issue of some kind. There's got to be something to it. It can't just be a random thing. Go ahead, Luke. Sorry, I thought you were raising your hand.
No.
So this one is a question for you. Did you pick up any additions? So for all the jokes we make, Luke, do you have any Jason Robertsons? Have you accumulated? Obviously, I got the one with the Luke discount, so I got that.
I think I might have one Jason Robertson canvas. That's the only Jason Robertson I have.
We got to rectify this.
But I have graded a lot for a lot of people, so
we got to rectify this, my man. I feel like it's becoming associated to your brand. We gotta try to get Jason Robertson in there for you. Doesn't have to be a cup RPA or anything, but we got to get something in there. Come on. And it said, Brad, pick up any Manoa cards. So did we add any more to our Manoa coffers, Brad? Anything happen with that?
No, I didn't add any more. I picked up a nice autographed baseball, though, of Manoa.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought one of the Frameworth did a great job on the Manoa kits. I don't know if you've seen them down there, but they have balls in these glass cases. They look really cool. So I ordered one of those. But no more Manoa. Big start tomorrow. He's just starting to figure things out, and he'll be right back on track. ERA is kicking in around 5.5 right now, but that will drop down after tomorrow's game.
I was going to say we're getting a little worried for you over there for the Manoa watch. So let's go through here. So Peter Collector, good evening. Is it possible to pick up orders and drop off orders in Montreal show? Generally, yes, but do you guys want to be a little more specific?
Yeah. This is something we're going to work on because we did realize how much of a headache it does cause. But Peter, obviously, we take anything for you there. Bringing orders to the show. So like when we had all the orders come back, like we brought everybody's cards that we brought to the Toronto Expo. And that was my first real glimpse of doing that. So I know what Luke goes through when he goes to Langley. If you have partial orders for people, we're trying to give the best customer service possible, but it can wreak havoc when you're in the middle of taking submissions and dealing with customers. And all of a sudden you have to go look for an order. And then some people don't show up for their orders. Again, Peter, completely separate. We're happy to take your orders, but I bet you I brought up 300 orders for people that didn't show up. Some people said they were coming, so then we had to bring them all the way back. Like it's a lot of work, especially, when you're looking at some of these are 1 and 2 card orders for people. You email them, you bring it up, you package it, then you bring it back. Then we have to put it back into the office. And it gets very hectic. So I do think next year for Toronto, we're going to work on our system just to make it a little bit better. It's the same as people want to pay at the show for orders. We're going to make a rule. If you want us to bring your order to the show, we're going to have the payment's going to be done prior to, so then we can bring it there. We're not worried about that. People want to pay EMT, credit card, cash. These are all the logistics as we keep on growing this business. We're just learning as we go, and we learn from a lot of our mistakes. And I realize that I do sympathize more for Luke when I was in Vancouver. I was like, yeah, Luke, someone's here to pick up their order, handle it. And so in Toronto, it was complete opposite. It was, yeah, Brad, someone's here to pick up your order, handle it. So it was a new leaf. It was interesting.
It's more chaotic in Toronto too, right? So I mean, there's a lot more orders and stuff, and people come through. At least Langley was a little more calm, where it's not as busy and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, it gets pretty crazy sometimes, and everyone wants the cards. Everybody wants the cards now, and you try to get it to them, but it's organization of it. We have to be organized on it. We have to make sure that they get the right card, and because if we give them the wrong card, then it's like a whole new thing that we have to do, and it's more of a headache.
It's also a liability issue. Like if we're just being very practical, it's a liability issue because every card you bring over, you're adding additional movement. You're moving it from the office to packing it up to taking it over. If somebody doesn't come and pick it up, you got to pack it up again. Don't misfile it. Don't put it in the wrong place. It's got to come back the way it came. It's got to get refiled exactly where it's supposed to go. It's a whole, You're playing into the areas of customer service. You're playing into the areas of organization. You're operating as a mini warehouse, customer service, and like thankfully for me, the only thing I had to worry about was the supply of Boston cream donuts in the back. Like I said, I was good. That's all I needed. I just needed to make sure Brad brought my 4 cards and had Boston cream donuts, and I'm good. I'm satisfied. A plus, thumbs up. That's all I needed on my end. So Nova saying photos I took of Michael Jordan in the old Boston Garden in '89. I just want them slabbed for protection. I think if it's just regular photos, I think that's a bit tricky. If they were autographed or something, I don't know.
Yeah, they won't
Yeah, I
as
don't
of
think so.
right now. Like if they're type 1 photos, but
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point you're going to see some customization of doing that. But
Yeah.
I will talk to you about that Nova Grower when we see each other. I've got some cool ideas that would probably work out nice for you.
Nice. So Canada Blue here. Good evening. Can the original score sheet signed? So now you're talking about a signed thing. So we're talking about DNA. More than likely, I would inquire about it a little bit more. Use the communication there on the bottom and ask a couple questions. But when you enter into this realm of the DNA, they do have more flexibility. They have more types of holders. They will take more stuff that normally wouldn't fall under it. But now you're talking about authenticating an autograph, so there is a little bit more room to authenticate more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Brett Hall, perfect. Yep, no worries. Thank you for that. Good evening, Dave. Absolutely. So
Hey, Brad,
I think that was
sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a question. So when we were talking about photos or whatever, what's a type A photo?
You know, honestly, I can't even be.
I think you're talking about type 1.
Type
Oh,
1
type
photo.
1, yeah.
Yeah. So Dave can fill in a little bit. I know a little bit about it. I believe, if my recollection is, I believe it's a style of photos where they, I think it's very similar to where they do like press photos. Like it's actually what is considered to be a type 1 photo. There is a very specific definition. It's not this vague thing. Certain things are qualify as type 1 photos, and you have to make sure you adhere to those things. Otherwise, it's not. Otherwise, I believe it's a type 2 or type 3. There's a couple of them.
I think it's the original. Like type 1 is the original type 1 photo. Like
Yeah.
that's what again.
Yeah.
Not really
I'm
sure.
staying really high level because I know enough to be dangerous, but I don't want to commit to something that is incorrect. I don't want to state something that's wrong. But I can tell you that type 1 photos are considered to be a very specific thing, and they are highly collectible now. They're becoming more so collectible because there are some collectors who absolutely love to get those. But it's very specific criteria that you need to meet in order to be considered a type 1 photo.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something. It's a good takeaway. We can. I know some guys who really are well versed in this who could give us some good information on it. I just don't want to misquote and say something wrong because I haven't dug into it as much. But I am familiar with them.
Yeah,
absolutely, no problem. Absolutely, no problem. Our call PSA had custom encapsulation service with the green label at one time. Don't know if it's still offered. I think it's a very specific one here. Yeah, type 1 is the original. Yeah, I know. And you have to be. It meets certain criteria. It has to be this exact thing for type 1 to count. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's not. It's just not type 1 if you don't have the right stuff. And they are becoming very collectible. There's some folks that really love those type 1 photos.
Oh yeah, there's some cool stuff coming back on that front. I actually got one of my Super Bowl tickets back today. I was disappointed. It was in a picture frame before, so they put glue on the back of it to stick it in the frame. So I sent it in with my notes because it's to one of the Super Bowls I was at, and I put, I understand, I'll take no responsibility. Please just encapsulate this. But I think it stuck to the top loader, and I don't even think they could get it off the top loader. And they just sent it back to me as is. So that kind of sucked because I want to have all the Super Bowl tickets that I've been to encapsulated because I everything encapsulated looks cool.
Okay, and here's one thing that I'll share with you, with a lot of you folks, if you want to get some good information, just to be here. Developed from negative within 2 years of being taken. Yep, no, I'm with you, Dave. I don't want to be, that's why I don't want to be too particular. But I will make a recommendation. If anyone is curious about some of this stuff, I would recommend to you the Net 54 forum, because there are a wealth of information on a lot of this stuff. And even something, it took me like 4 seconds. I just typed in type 1 photo, and this is one of the threads that came up from 2011. And they had a quick discussion talking about type 1 and type 2 photos, and giving a little bit of some examples in that. And there's a wealth of a lot of great information to a lot of these. But Net 54 forum, there are a lot of these, they collect a lot of these guys collect baseball, but you will learn a lot from it. I'll actually include a link to this thread in the description for tonight, and you guys can check it out. But there is some wealth of information in places like this. And this goes back to 2011. So this is more than 10 years old. And they were talking about type 1 and type 2 photos and what the differences are. But those discussions have been had for a long time, and there's a lot of people who know a lot of good information about that as well. Many collectors prefer the wire photos as they came from the original. Yeah, no, that's fair, Dave. However, Henry Yee and Marshall sold everyone on the Type 1 classification. There you go. But yeah, so I would say resources like that are excellent for that kind of thing because you can learn a lot. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, there's a whole wealth of information on that piece.
Yeah.
So let me touch on a couple of things here as well. We talked about kind of what was going on with now in the course of running the booth. Kind of as you guys mentioned, the way the booth was set up, it created this kind of interesting dynamic. It was kind of fun watching everybody run around. It's kind of fun with all the people working it. Now, obviously, Brad got to go visit over to the Upper Deck Authenticated for a little bit. Did you guys, so Luke, did you get a chance at all to walk the floor? I think you found a card. I think you found, I at least chatted with you and found one card that was kind of for your collection. I think it was the Marvel card, if memory serves me. That was one.
Yep.
Did you find anything else for your collections?
Found some Mickey Mouse cards.
Okay. The new Mickey Mouse cards or previous to that Mickey Mouse cards?
No, the new Mickey Mouse cards.
Okay. Okay. So the new ones.
They're cheap, but they're awesome.
Good
I love
to
them.
know. Okay, good to know. Brad, anything else for any of your collections?
I picked up a bunch of different things. Nothing. So I got a few more orange platinums from 16, 17 that my Carter was able to pick up for me. I got a Nylander and a Tkachuk, but they're just doubles, so I still need two.
Mm-hmm.
Sherry got me a PMG blue for my 13, 14. It's at Morgan Riley, which was nice. I think that might have been close to it. Pinnacle B PSA 9 Mario Lemieux. I decided I think I'm going to do that set all in PSA 9 or better.
Okay.
That was my first one. So that will be another little project. But yeah, no, I think that was it.
All right, that's fair. I decided to kind of stay into the normal lane. Picked up some Medano cards. Picked up the Luke special. Picked that one up. That was very important. That was a good one. And tried to fill in a lot of it. Took advantage of a lot of the dealers. They were willing to negotiate with you. See,
Yeah.
even the dog likes it. A lot of the pickers, but they were willing to negotiate you, and that's something that I found. And maybe this would be something that I'll present as well for the expo. Is that most dealers were willing to work with you a little bit. There are a few that just had prices that was like no, because if you see something that's so far out of whack, it's like we're not even gonna spend too much time on this. But it remains the pet peeve of pet peeves. Put price tags on these things. Nobody likes to sit there and be like, okay, so what are we starting at? Like, give me a ballpark. At least if I see that you're asking for double what the going rate is, that's going to be a different conversation than, okay, you're already one line. Because one of the jokes that I gave to a couple of the guys when we were chatting about it is that I found at least two specific scenarios where the sticker price was so reasonable that I was extremely frustrated. I was like, how dare you? I want to be able to talk you way down, but you're already starting off with a reasonable price. How dare you? Unacceptable. Just unacceptable. I counted over 30 or rookies, so he specifies here. Peter Collect mentioned there. The selection overall is tough to compete with eBay. Yes, absolutely. The Dazzlers brand really stood out from the crowd at a distance. I did see a little bit for some of the new stuff. I wasn't paying attention to the Breakers thing. However, I did see obviously the new SP Authentic. We saw some singles for that. I'm not a big fan of it. I got to be honest, I'm lukewarm on it. It's fine for what it is, but I had a little bit of fun with it, at least looking through the tables. I'm not a big value box guy. It's not really my thing, but I did scan a few, especially on Sunday when I had a little bit more time towards the end there. I didn't get too much of a chance, though, to see how the autograph signings were. The guest list was all right, but I knew that it wouldn't be quite as crazy as the fall one, but I thought it helped. I did venture over to that hall just to see a little bit, and there was some decent stuff over there. I was pretty happy with it. It is going to be a delicate balance, though, to make sure that you actually get enough traffic over that out of the hall. Because if you're paying full price for that booth, it's a little bit tough when you get over there. I didn't see a lot of the influencers, though, even though I see the vlogs. We had Mojo's, we had Mojo Sports, we had a couple of local guys. I think the Hockey Cards Gong Show guys were around. I didn't see them really. I wasn't paying too close attention, though. Did you have any encounters, Brad or Luke, with any of these folks? Because I know that I saw in the vlogs they were around. I just didn't see them too much. Mind you, I was there in just the 2 days specifically, and the third one a little bit.
Yeah, all I really seen was the Mojo, and which was great to see. Great to see him come up and with his energy. And I really, at the end of the day, he's a passionate sports card collector. You can, and Sacramento Kings fan, which is kind of reversed the role here lately. But yeah, no, that was pretty much all I seen from states wise. Like no Jeff Wilson this year. That was a little disappointing. I'm surprised to that. There must have been some sort of a conflict, but
I feel like the fall, if he's going to do it, would make more sense for the fall.
yeah, yeah. No, but that was about it. I didn't see anyone else really from the U.S. side of things.
Yeah, we did see a little bit of the folks with cameras because that's become more of a thing. I felt like it was interesting watching the various waves of folks as they were doing their stuff. That's always something that I try to kind of keep an eye out on as I kind of wander around in the show a little bit. It was good getting a chance to chat with different folks that some of them that watch this channel, some of them watch the other channel, and chatting with them a little bit. That's always an enjoyable experience. But I felt like go ahead.
Yeah, I did know from the AMG standpoint when I got back, I know that Steve and them did an incredible amount of buying and selling. Right out of the hopper, he sold 252 tops mantles. That was a sale right at the beginning of the show. They sold out all the wax. They had a few other high end sales, and they easily spent 6 figures at the show and buying, flipping things, and it was very impressive from that front. And then I forgot one other thing too.
Go ahead.
Sherry just texted me. I completely forgot, but we're going to do a little thing on Sportsnet with Kenny Reed on it. But...
Oh, good. Okay. I was wondering. I did see some social media posts that Ken Reed was around as well. So I think it'd be kind of fun.
2 days. I think he was there on Friday, and then he came back on Sunday with his kids.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
I can't believe I actually forgot. This is how tired I'm running. Just so if anyone's watching, I know I'm mumbling a little bit, but I'm running on fumes here. It's been extremely long days, but I'm going to try to hold this up to see. This is so cool. I bought this from my friend Larry Kerrigan. Used to be Cutthroat Collectibles. He's actually changed the name, but Larry's been a staple in the card industry since I was a kid. Just a guy that's always been so good to me.
Oh, is this the quilt?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I might have to do a little.
This is gonna be fun watching this to play out. There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's awesome. Anyways, I'm going to do a full cataloging of it, but there's 2 Vesna rookies. There's Cyclone Taylor, Art Ross rookie card. They're all sewn on there, but I think it's just an absolutely amazing piece that I am so happy to finally pull the trigger on.
Nice.
So, anyways, nice. Yeah. So Sportsnet, we're going to do a little thing on Sportsnet with this. So.
And it's a mix, cool. I think, because they've got the baseball. Because I recognize I recognize those. I forget the designation for them, but they're I want to say Maple Crisp or Maple Crispet or something. I forget what exactly it is, but those are those brown ones. But those are the baseball cards, and they got some of the original Toronto team as well. So very unique piece, I would say. Very unique piece.
Yeah,
I love
it's awesome. Fish. Yeah, Luke likes the fish. I finally got my Vesna rookie.
They got the birds too. You got the tobacco bird cards as well.
Yeah.
Fancy. Very fancy. Even James, this 100% was my issue. No, totally fair. Totally fair. I get it. A couple of companies had on-site grading. I imagine you're petitioning the powers that be of a PSA setup for grading at a show in the future. Mayhaps. Fair point. Dave likes it. Good stuff. Madden put in a nice frame. Yeah. It definitely have to be a display piece. It's very unique. Definitely has to be displayed in a good way so people can see it. Because you can get a lot of interesting stuff out of it, I would say, for sure. And stuff like that that helps this show stand out a little bit. Because you can find a lot of stuff all over the internet. But it is interesting seeing stuff like that in person. Because then you really get a bit of a sense of what it is. So I think this one here, Imperial Tobacco. Thank you, Dave. I knew it had some designation to it, but I'm thinking a different one for the Maple Crispets. But you're right, it's Imperial Tobacco. That's the one. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Peter Gleck says this one here. It's like maybe, just maybe.
It's funny. I'm so not good at not saying things, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, you just have to look when I put it on there, Peter. You just have to look at Brad's face. He's like, if I say nothing, no one can say I said anything. I will say nothing. Eric says, when am I going to come and visit? I'm going to use that blanket and get all snuggly on your couch. Sounds like a threat. We can stop him at the border, Brad. We stop him at the border, he'll never make it across.
Yeah. You know what's funny with the blanket? I've looked at it, I don't know, at least for 2 or 3 years, that he's always had it on display, but it was in the bag and inside the showcase.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually took him. I said, Larry, can I take a look at that? And he kind of looked at me and I was like, oh boy, this might be a big deal to take it out. As soon as he took it out, I went, okay, I'm buying it. And I just waited and I walked away and I came back and seen him. I said, what's your absolute best price? Then he told me the number and I thought about it and I went down, I talked to Luke, and then I came back and I was thinking like $1,000 less potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought about it on something that's so unique and so cool. I'm like, what's $1,000 is a lot of money. I'm not saying that it's not, but for something that you really want and you're never going to be able to get again on a piece like that, I'm like, let's do the deal. And when you buy something expensive, sometimes I always get maybe a little bit of buyer's remorse, kind of like, was that the right move? The more as time goes on, the happier I am with my purchase, even more so. So that means I know that I paid the right amount. I'm so happy to have it in my collection, and it'll be on display for people to look at.
Nice. Well, it could have been worse. It would have been at least $1,050 if you hadn't known Luke. So thankfully you used a Luke discount on that one. That was important.
You might have been afraid that Ken was going to buy it, eh? So.
Well, yeah, exactly. That I was like, oh man, I shouldn't say anything. I can just walk away because I said maybe he'll pay full pop for it, but we'll see. And then I proceeded to buy another PSA 1 Wayne Gretzky rookie card for my collection for some reason.
That was a good deal.
Yeah, you just get another stack of them because Lord knows you need another one.
I know.
Makes sense. I got it.
2 nice cards back today too. This came back for me.
Okay.
Stutzel 1010.
Okay, nice.
To go along with my cup Stutzel that I said was absolutely perfect, and it came back a PSA 7, so I'm not even going to show that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow I missed something. And then this is for a friend of mine in Halifax. That's such a gorgeous card.
Okay, nice.
It's the Gretzky clear cut with a 1010.
Oh, yeah, it's the clear cut one. Yeah. It's got the see-through acetate. Very nice.
Yeah, looks awesome. And to get that, I mean, it's just such a Gretzky in the Oilers uniform. Like, it's just, I don't know, it just pops. It's super stoked.
Nicely done.
Then I can show this because some people might think this is cool. I did an experiment in Vancouver, me and Luke. So I decided I was going to try to buy as many Slafkovsky. It's not Slafkovsky. How do you say his name properly? Slafkovsky. Yeah. So I went around the room and I said, I'm just going to buy, I don't know, as many as I can, as long as I can get them for like $100 or less.
All right.
And I knew there was none in the process. The pop report, they just came out. So the pop report is 0. Mm-hmm. So my goal was to send them in at value plus service level to be the first person to get them back. Because really no one's going to send them in at regular or express to get them back. So I bought 8 Slafkovsky Young Guns. Just so we can see here. Let me just organize them.
Sure.
The two canvases, both came back PSA 10s.
All right, sounds good.
I was 2 for 2 on the canvases, but canvases are pretty easy. And then I got 6 of his regular Young Guns, and I'll start off with the big one, PSA 10. So this right now is a pop 2, which is great. Currently, this guy is up on eBay. Then I proceeded to get 3 PSA 9s.
Okay.
And we dropped down a little bit from there to go along with my 2 PSA 7s.
Right.
Anyways, but they're very tough. Like when you look at them,
only Brad. It's like owner of PSA Canada gets back 7s.
7s, absolutely. But it was an experiment. So I look. So you're into these at say $60 a pop to grade. So it's $480. $480 to grade them, and then $800 to buy them. So it's at almost $1,250, say $1,300.
Okay.
So the experiment, I sold the 2 7s tonight to my uncle for $140. So we're going to take that off the $70 each, and we'll see what happens. Next week on the show, we can talk about how my little project turns out. So I've got it up. Yeah, I got the Slafkovsky 10 up. There's no offers as of yet. We'll see what happens.
Sounds fair. So Dave said
You
a
also
little
got
earlier.
Kuzmenko.
Yeah,
You
you
also
got
have a
your
Kuzmenko.
Oh, yeah. I got one Kuzmenko 10 and one Kuzmenko 8.
nice. So Dave says 1,000 seems very reasonable for the blanket there. CC says awesome pickup, Brad. Nova says you pick up any 80s basketball at the expo for me to buy from you. I don't think any 80s basketball made it in there. Did you pick up some?
We do. Yeah, I think Steve does have at the shop. I haven't been able to even go out there. Like they bought so much stuff. I think there's like 7 or 8 shoe boxes full of like either graded cards or high-end singles. So I'm going to have some excitement hopefully next week if I can get through a lot of these orders, and it'll be exciting. But we were able to. I should have said this at the very beginning of the show. We went through everything that we had and we pulled all the value plus and above orders, and we actually shipped those today. They should arrive at PSA tomorrow, which was one of my big things, because it's going to take us at least a couple of weeks to get all the orders processed. But I wanted to get those ones that, we estimated at a 45-day door-to-door turnaround. So those will all be at PSA tomorrow morning, and the process will be able to start next week. So that will be a big thing for us.
Very nice, very nice. And they should be able to. Like they were at least able to sell one AEW hobby box for me and Bobby Burrell to open. So
yes,
that was huge. Big time. That's big time sales. Big time sales. I assume they sold it out because I think when I went over there they had 3 left, so I bought one of the 3, and then I assume they finally cleared it out. I gave Billy and the upper guys, you got to put more product out. You got to put some of the new product out. They know, but you still got to be like, hey guys, put some new product out. It happens. So let me kind of open it up a little bit. I've got a couple of other things that I can quickly mention, but do any of you have any questions? Any of you that either haven't been to one of the shows before or have been and maybe didn't make it out to this one? Any questions you would have about observations we can offer? I am going to spend some time tomorrow talking a little bit more about it and expanding on it. I did show the one card I picked up, but I've got basically a story for all those cards, but I want to save a little something for tomorrow, the short Friday show. So I want to make sure, I don't want to deprive the people of that. Let me ask this question for you guys then. Obviously, a lot of busyness, a lot of the time was spent working on the show, but also spending some time chatting with folks and also having dinners and all that is a big part of what the enjoyment is for the show. So let me ask this question. Brad, did you attend the trade night or any of the trade nights that were going on with it? Did you visit any time this time around, or just focus on what was going on at the booth?
No, I really wanted to, but we just simply couldn't. Like, it was exhausted after we went for supper, right back to the hotel. It's just too hard because you have to be on your game. You have to be rested because it starts at 8 a.m, goes till 8 p.m, and it's nonstop. So no, I didn't get a chance to do anything extracurricular. It was work the entire time.
Sounds good. Let me ask this. Any big takeaways? If you were going to say a takeaway from this particular show, this Spring Expo, what stands out to you? Let me start off with Luke. Luke, is there any takeaway that you have? Just a general thing. Just for the show itself, any takeaway, anything you observed or anything you felt coming off of it?
Yeah, you know what? I thought that I thought it was actually nice that, like, the way that we had it set up and the way that we had enough staff. I mean, obviously, if we had more staff, then it'd be less work and stuff like that. But it was nice, the flow, and like Brad was saying, with like our lineups, we did, let's say, 50% or double the amount of the cards that we did last time. But
now, when you're saying
lineups,
compared to last time, are you comparing it to last spring or are you comparing it to last fall? What are we comparing it to?
Last fall.
Got it. Okay.
Last fall, but the lineups are probably like a fifth of the time in waiting in line, and that was a great thing about it. Like, people, they could have been last in line. You turn around and look, and yeah, they're like third or fourth coming up, in line now, right? So I mean, it was good that way. So and a lot of people were more patient this time than were last time. I think everyone was more excited, and maybe they were grumpy because they were in line a little bit more and stuff like that. So I think the flow of everything, and I think what we learned from last time to bring it to this one, I think was great, and the next time will be even better. I mean, there's a lot of big things coming for fall.
Absolutely. Brad, overall kind of just impression, takeaway, all the different pieces. Like I said, I was just excited for Boston Crib Donuts, so I was good. Like after that, everything else was bonus after. And between that and the Luke, corporate discount, that was beautiful. After that though, like everything else was gravy after that. But any kind of big takeaway overall kind of feeling coming off of it?
Yeah, and I always put a positive spin on things, but without even adding any extra, it's nice to see how alive the hobby is. You get a lot of negativity out there, and I don't want to dwell on that. Like, I'm not the person to say be positive and don't. There's time for negativity, but the overall general census that I seen is people spending money, people enjoying the hobby, people collecting, and even from my experience with all the customers that we have, sure, you're going to have a handful of people that, you know what, you're just never going to make happy, and they're always going to complain. But it's so nice to say. I think at one point I went out, we were in the back room. I just went by Luke. I said, all the frustrations and the heart, like some people don't really see the back end, how, I don't know what the proper word to use, aggravating or how hard this job can be at sometimes, like from the customer service standpoint. I just said, it's amazing when you get to see all these people face to face, how many good people there are. And I mean that sincerely. Like I had that moment where I was like, man, I'm having a blast today. Like you're helping people out, you're helping them. And they're like, oh yeah, thanks for the cards you got back last time. This is what I got. I'm back again this time. I'm going to submit more. I learned that I shouldn't have submitted that one like you guys said, but I did. And like all that stuff was just great to see. But the overall experience to me was so positive. And I just want to say thanks to everyone that submits cards with us. Like we truly appreciate it. We wouldn't be able to do all the stuff that we do, like with, from our YouTube channel to everything else. This is our livelihood. This is what we do for a living now. And we appreciate everyone.
Absolutely. 100%.
Strong words. I like it. Even this can't take us down. He tried, but even this can't take us down. We're positive about Eric's negativity towards Brad's positivity. It's important to cover that. I'm guessing the Leafs are losing. It's not the entire city, my man. A lot of the city, yes. But you'd be surprised how many people get great joy when the Leafs lose in the city of Toronto. You'd be very surprised. It's a little bit more split than people think. You hear about the loud Leafs fans, but there are a lot of people that are like, no, they enjoy the shot and fraud. They enjoy, like, their pain amuses us. There is a whole segment that is unaccounted for that covers that. So real quick, I'll read a couple of these. Have you guys shipped the Langley orders yet? Those are out to PSA?
Nope.
Not yet?
They will be out no later than Tuesday for sure.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you, Luke. Pick up any memorabilia. We talked about that with the Upper Deck Authenticated, so that was that. Anything else memorabilia-wise? Obviously, we got that. I would almost consider the cloth to be memorabilia. If I'm being honest with you, like it's cards, yes, but because of the nature of it, I would almost consider it a piece of memorabilia at this point. Like it basically is. It's almost an art piece.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I don't know. Did you pick? I'm sure I did.
You picked up the baseball. Picked up the Manoa baseball. That's a memorabilia
Manoa
piece.
baseball. Yeah, we bought a bunch of pieces from Framesworth, which we always do. I think they're framing 20 to 30 jerseys up. We did the UDA purchase. Mm-hmm. We bought a lot of wax from Grizzly Sports Cards. It's always nice to do business with Rick. I mean, he's been a lifelong seller there with the wall of wax for forever.
I used to love getting the 97, 98 stuff, that late 90s stuff. They used to have a lot of it. Unfortunately, a lot of it is dried up. Like a lot of it. I was trying to explain this to some of the other guys that didn't have the context for it. I remember going to the Grizzly Sports Card booth because I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I would open tins of 97, 98 Donruss Preferred for $35. It was $35 Canadian for the big old tins. And I'd be like, I'll take a couple of those. Yeah, let's go. They're ridiculous. Like the whole thing is absurd because you got this big old tin and inside of it, you got all these little tins for the packs. Now it was a cool way of getting so when I wanted the Medano had all the versions. So I would get the big tin of Medano and then grab the little pack of Medano, and you had the 2 color packs, and then you had the gold version, and it was just nonsense. All of it was nonsense. Fascinating, but really fun rip at $35. Super impractical though. A pain to cart away. A pain.
It's hilarious that you say that. I honestly thought like I would be the number one buyer of those. I bought so many of them. Like it was the funnest thing to open because it took time. You
You
had to
did.
open the tin, and then you have all the little tins, and then you could always go for the golds. Like it, I love the. I bet not a word of a lie, Carlos. If I didn't open up 50 of those over the course of a few years, maybe even more. I don't even know. Everybody used to say, "Does he have a printer that he just prints these things?" Because they just kept coming and coming and coming.
Yep. Those ones were a big one. I remember the Priority. Donruss Priority, you know, the whole mail theme. Those were fun because you got the Stamps of Authority. Those are beautiful cards. The Stamps of Authority are beautiful cards. Those were fun to open. I loved a lot of the late 90s stuff that they would have stacks of. And you could have a lot of fun. Even Pinnacle, just regular base Pinnacle. You could get the Dufex cards in it. And like there's so many nice cards. But it was cheap. That to me was cheap wax. It wasn't junk wax. Because today now at the expo, one big difference I'll say to today is today when I go there and I see junk wax, they're like, "Oh, $25." That's not junk wax. I'm sorry. Like if I hand you a $20 bill and you ask me for more money, that's not junk wax. Junk wax was like if I hand you 20, you give me back 2 boxes. That was junk wax. That's gone now. Doesn't matter how much of it is still sitting there. It's gone.
And that stuff sucks. Like that stuff is simply boring to open. Like,
Yeah.
here's your box of 91 Flair baseball. Like, not I get no enjoyment out of open that. At least here's your box of 92 Don Ross. Well, you know what? Oh, I can get the Ryan Sandberg auto potential. Yeah, there's one in every 50,000 boxes, but at least I have that chase, right?
Well,
Like,
I saw. I want to say it was Untouchables. They had a box of 98, 99 UD Choice, and that's where you could get the gold. You could get the. It was the gold StarQuest Gold. Yes, yeah, but they had it with a $350 price tag on it. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Are you out of your goddamn mind?
Yeah.
Like seriously? Do you know what the odds are of getting one? Like zero. I won't say 0%, but close enough that makes no difference."
Oh, there is a gold Medano in here.
My buddy had a gold Medano. He put a $1,500 price tag on it, and I laughed.
You know what? It's funny. My Jeff, I don't know if he's still in the chat, but he was looking at it. He was like, "Yeah, the big guy down there. He has." I said, "Oh yeah." He said, "He's a good friend of mine now. He has a gold Medano," and I was like, "Yeah, I think he was making a." He told them to make an offer on it. I don't know. They were close at.
You know what?
point.
I think if it's the guy I'm thinking of, because I'm terrible with names, so I apologize. I think it's the same guy. What's funny is that Steve left me with him to talk about it. And I didn't talk him out of it, but I kind of gave him some background info on the card in question. Because for whatever reason, they have like a little condition sensitivity. They get scratched on the front a little bit. Mine has the same thing. The price point was high, in my opinion. But the problem is they've gotten so expensive with the people that put together the sets. 4 figures is not ridiculous anymore. Because I think the last couple sold, I want to say, for 600 and change US. So you tack on the exchange rate, that's about $1,000, give or take. It's right in that ballpark. So unfortunately, they are extremely expensive. Like I bought mine for $60 Canadian, but it was almost 20 years ago. So like at the time, what I paid made sense. It no longer makes sense. It's a different ballgame entirely. I can't blame them for that. James says, "I take great enjoyment in Leafs losses." There you go. Exactly. Looking forward to seeing you back in Toronto in November. Good stuff, CC. Thank you for that. Rod is asking a question here. Was SPA well received at Expo? I didn't get too much of a vibe of that. I think people that were doing it in the breaking and getting those packs and stuff probably felt better about it. I didn't feel like I saw a ton of SPA getting opened, in my opinion. Like I could be mistaken about that. How did you guys feel about it? For whatever you saw.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, it was kind of a sneaky thing. Like, I mean, it came out on the Wednesday, right? So
Yeah. I just don't think it's a good rip. Like I watched box breaks of it. It doesn't feel good. Like I know they reconfigured the styling of it, but I feel like you'll get a lot of them where you don't get the traditional Future Watch Auto. You'll get like the retro Future Watch Auto or whatever. It's just meh. Like I just feel like for an SPA product, it just feels like, eh.
Yeah, they don't have innards for those anymore. They're one case for the whole thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just felt like it was lukewarm for me. Like I just looked at it and I go, I'm sure for some of the hardcores who want to build a set of the Future Watch and stuff and probably open up a case, they're probably all right with it. I wasn't too enthused about it. I just thought it was an okay product. And Medano's got cards in it, and I'll go and pick off the singles. I think I'll do well with that, but I wouldn't be super excited if I was a traditional box breaker for it. It didn't feel like the rips were very good for the box.
Yeah. Has anyone come out and talked about Connor Bedard now? Like officially on that he's not in Series 1? Has that been official?
Nothing
Like,
official, but it still feels like I feel like the vibe is that it feels like more people are getting behind the Series 2 train, which is
Yeah.
like Brad, you got to lead the brigade of so Eric, get ready. It's like if he goes to Series 2, Brad might be leading the brigade of hobby negativity.
Oh yeah.
How
No,
dare you?
yeah. It completely frustrates the hell out of me. And I'd sooner have an airbrush jersey on him and have him in Series 1, but he's not going to be in Series 1 and he's going to be in Series 2. And it's kind of now like we flipped. I talked to Steve, our GM at AMG today, and so what we're going to do is whatever you buy of Series 1, you get the opportunity to buy the equivalent of Series 2. So now we're putting our own little spin on what Upper Deck has caused us to do. So
Yeah,
it's
but
going to be
I think the moment though that I think here'd be a question that I would have, and this isn't me. It's me posing a question. I'll throw this to you guys. I'm curious. If you do that, again, let's play it out. Let's play out the scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that. You finally admit that the checklist comes out and Bedard is not in Series 1. You got a bunch of pre-orders, and you're somebody who was going to buy a stack. I'd cancel pre-orders. I'd back up I'd back it up a lot. Like I might still pick it up, but I'd back it up quite a bit. And then what happens if you're Upper Deck and you're sitting there and Series 1 just goes cold? Not like no one will get it. People still get it. But what if it just sits long enough that you have to start discounting it? Dealers start kind of like slashing the price just to get it out the door and be done with it. And they come back and like, oh, guys, you killed us in Series 1. This, they're just not, again, I know people at Upper Deck. I think they're great people. I'm friends with several of them, and they're great folks. Um, I would, I'm listening, and I was chatting with a couple of them there, and I go, some of this criticism you're getting is not unfair. It's not unfair because it just, I see the box breaks and I look at it, I go, I'm not in the market to open a lot of these boxes, so it's not a concern for me. At the end of the day, you guys do whatever you're going to do. I'm going to get the singles. But I'm looking at these box breaks. I would feel terrible if I opened this box. And how many times do I have to watch a box break where I go, I would feel terrible? Not I would feel like, oh, it was okay. No, I would feel bad. I would feel like, man, this sucks. That doesn't encourage me to go and open more boxes of your stuff. And the more the stuff sits, the more you have to start slashing prices. Series 2, if you put Bedard in Series 2, that'll help Series 2, but then Series 1 will languish on the vine. I'll be like, hey, Brad, so you got any of this Series 1 left? I'll give you $150. $150? No, $150. Cash, my man.
Well, yeah, you can see there'll be those. So if you're a hobby shop owner and you cut back on Series 1, that means you're going to get less of Series 2.
Yeah, but it creates that scenario where like you'll create the double whammy of I don't want to get allocation cut for Series 2, but you just destroyed me on Series 1.
Absolutely.
And now I'm sitting on this, and it's like, now Series 2, it better be amazing because I got to offset the damage you did to me in Series 1.
Yeah, and that's how the hobby always has worked.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you look up and you're like, oh, this is going to be such a good year. This is going to be so good. And then there'll be these curveballs that will bring it all back. And if you look, you'll have your peaks and valleys. Hopefully over time, you just have that steady little rise and you continue to make money. But you can also by looking at the PSA pop reports on key rookie cards, you can see how much more is being printed. I know there's no print runs exactly of what is out there in Upper Deck, but you look at Kirill Kaprizov right now. How many PSA 10s do you think there is of Kaprizov? Just off the top of your head, Luke?
I felt like
4,082.
That is very, very good. There is 3,768 PSA 10 Kaprizovs. So let's just put this in perspective. Then you go down, you got McDavid kicking around 2,500 right now. Matthews is just shy of 3,000. You go all the way back, you look, the reason why me and my uncle were back and forth on this today, and he was giving me all the numbers as of today, it's because Brad Marchand, PSA 10.
280.
There is 137.
Wow.
You know, like you really look. So when you go back into the older guys and you really look at the perspective, there's around 2,000 OVs or whatever it is, and or sorry, there's about 1,200 OVs, 1,000 Crosbys. You can see how the productions of these goes. Wait to see where Cole Caulfield settles in at, right? And Trevor Zegras, even though Zegras is a tough 10 because of the condition on it, but or say it's going to be interesting to see. Like, are we going to hit we're not going to hit those numbers of Prism base, you know, with Luca's at 25, 30,000, but these numbers are getting up there, right? When you
So,
start
how many of these are we gonna? Is somebody gonna have to buy back to put into Series What, just so you don't feel so bad? It's like Crosby rookie. What? It's like you got to put it in there. You got to put a chase of some kind in there.
But if you look, look, Connor Bedard PSA 10s, is there going to be 10,000 on them? And maybe when it's all said and done and compared, is there that many more people in the hobby that want them? Again, you can get into the analytics all you want and try to figure that out. But it is pretty remarkable when you look, you know, some of these guys, Marchand 137, Bergeron is less than, I think Bergeron's 40 or 50, is he? Or maybe something like that. It's crazy.
I'm just curious. Again, I'll just pose it as a question. I would be curious what happens if Upper Deck keeps running into a series of like cold starts with some of these series. Like I said, for me, SPA is a cold one. I had some fun with the SP Signature Legends again, and I was having a debate because there was one of the dealers there who was trying to argue how much they liked it, and they said, you know, for our clientele, it's like, but they kept telling me about the good names, and I go, I'm not saying there aren't good names in it. I'm saying, what about all the other guys? Well, like, if you're pulling some of these good names, if you're getting Yzermans or Gretzky's or some of the better guys, or even a Teemu Solani, guys who have like a strong pocket fan base of some of these guys, those are great. Those are fantastic. But it's the Hell Gills. It's the it's the Sean Podines. It's the what's his name, Steven Reinprex, who are in the checklist. I know who Steven Reinprex is just because I remember opening packs when Steven Reinprex was a rookie. But Steven Reinprex, go look him up. It's not something I'd be excited about as a hit. As a hit, Steven Reinprex is not a hit to me.
But you know what? When you look at that too, Carlos, like that, as we talked about, and I've been vocal about it as well, right beside you, saying it's the wrong name of the product.
Yeah, and the market and the market had it at $300 a box at one point.
Yeah,
at $300 a box. There is a price point for everything. There's a price point at which everything can make sense. There really is. Your expectations will adjust to the price point. And Luke, I want to get your thoughts on this. Does the price point of this stuff not adjust what the result is going to make you feel coming off of a box? If I take a box that's $100, your expectation is here. If you get cards that kind of fit in line, you can lose money on the box and not feel so bad. You get 60 or 65 or $70 worth of cards in a $100 box. Okay, it's not the end of the world. But you get $110 worth of cards in a $300 box. That feels way worse. Like it's such a big gap between what you paid versus what you got. Oh, but you got over twice as much. Yeah, but I paid 3 times as much for the box. So the gap is actually worse. I lost $200 a box at this point. It's expectations. The cup gets dangerously close to this sometimes because you'll open up this tin. This tin was phenomenal. You got this amazing card. But this other tin, with the cup, you're willing to play the game a little bit because the highs are so high that there is opportunity there. But so many tins, like if your person can only afford one tin and you pull that lower tier tin, that hurts because that price point is so phenomenally high. Your expectations are all the way up here. If the feeling of losing is much greater. Just a thought on that. How do you feel about that?
But the cup doesn't have like Steven Reinprex autos. Right?
I agree,
So,
but that's what I'm trying to get at. With the cup, your expectation is that the checklist will adjust accordingly. But here we've got a $300 a box product. Now, obviously not nearly as high, but $300 a box. I think maybe the way I would present this, and Brad, you help me out on this one, and Luke as well. We almost get sticker numb sometimes because you guys have been operating in the hobby a long time. Brad, you run a card shop. Luke, you've been in the business a long time. I'm still operating in a world with $300 is a lot of money. $300 is a lot of money for most people. It is an investment. It is like they're not opening boxes every week. if they're looking at this and they're seeing like, okay, look at this checklist. You can pull Gretzky, you can pull all these guys. You're just looking at the high end of this, and you're optimistically hoping for the best. You're thinking in your mind, oh man, I'd love to pull a Gretzky autograph or a Mark Messier autograph or some of these Hall of Fame top tier guys, and then you get Steven Reinprecht and Hal Gill, which can totally happen. That is 100% plausible. But you pay $300. That's not like, oh, I buy a box every week. That's a, hey man, look, I saved up for like a month and a half to get this box, and this is the one box I can afford to get, and this is what I got out of it. That hurts. Doesn't feel good. It's not a great experience. It's not like gonna make me want to run out to do this again.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I prefer when people ask me, if you want to gamble, buy a box of cards, sure. But if you want to get into the hobby and collect, buy the players you like, buy singles, and do it that way.
yeah. But that's why I made on my channel. That's why I had so much fun, and I made light of the Topps Big League. People complain so much about the influencer cards, but they're one in every 5 or 6 boxes. But here's the thing: I went to the comic book shop here. My younger brother goes to the comic book shop and buys comics every week. But they said they have some cards. They have an upper deck. They have an upper deck. They're an authorized upper deck dealer. They can get the product. But generally speaking, they're high. They're high price. Just to be clear, high price. But I went in the Topps Big League was $67.99. It was $68 Canadian a box. And that's at them being usually high because they're buying through a distributor. So that's not like wholesale. They're getting it through a distributor and then marking it up. And it was still $68 a box. Look, at $68 a box, I can afford to screw around a little bit. I'll buy a box just for the hell of it, but I don't need to pull anything amazing. I was like, no, I got a kick out of it. I was amused. I pulled an autograph out of 5. The autograph's maybe a $30 card. But here's the thing. It's a $70 box. It's not a big deal. Like, it's not the end of the world. I didn't feel that bad about it. SPA is not a cheap box either. And some of the box breaks I've seen in are really rough. Like some of it's, but Upper Deck's right now on a run a lot of these products where like if you hit, it's great. If you hit, it's great. But if you don't, how many times are you going to do that before it starts hurting people? Like it makes them gun shy. And Brad, you can speak to this from the AMG side. If you're running a shop and Upper Deck keeps kind of kicking you over and over again, like how many times do you want to get kicked and keep buying boxes?
No, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. You don't expect to win in the kind of playing here, CC. High-end boxes buying a lot. Yes. And here's the thing. If you're opening boxes, you do expect to lose. I've been in the hobby long enough. You should expect to lose. I just don't want to get eviscerated every time. There's a difference between losing and getting demolished.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get demolished. They're willing to live with the losses because occasionally there'll be a couple of wins in there too. But if you feel like you're constantly getting destroyed, that's not a good customer experience. Let's put it that way. That means the price is too high. So real quick, Nova says, I bought an old box of Upper Deck mini jersey hockey. Love opening this product. Beautiful. Stuff like that makes sense.
I like those too.
Yeah, $300 a low grade, second tier T206 Hall of Famer. It's a lot of things. $300 is a lot of items you can get for that price point.
And before I know we wrap things up, I do want to, I feel like obligated. I have to do this. Luke, you're going to like this. I feel like I have to call Kevin out tonight for not joining us. So at 10:02, remember, Kevin is a Leafs fan, right? There was a big game going on tonight at 10:02. He can't get Nash to sleep. Unfortunately, tonight is my night. We'll try to tune in later to the chat. Like that's like Manoah's pitching with the Jays, and I just say, sorry, I just gotta run to pick up the kid. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just let us think, Carlos. You can have your fun with that one next time, and same with you, Luke. So,
I will. Look, here's the thing. I don't take these excuses, Brad. I don't take these excuses. While we've been chatting, I fumbled the thing because I was looking off the screen because I was keeping an eye on the NFL draft. I know who the Packers drafted. In the course of our conversation. I was watching my snipe. I know what happened with the snipe. Unfortunately, I didn't win. It went a little higher than I wanted. But the point is, I know what's going on with that. I know what's going on with the draft. I'm keeping an eye on the hockey game scores in the corner. We can multitask in these lanes, Brad. We can multitask. I'm trying to multitask a little too much, but even still, it can be done. 2 screens, my friends. 2 screens.
See, people say I'm sleeping on the show here too, but I'm just watching the hockey game.
I know. How about that? Like, honestly, not to. I know we got to wrap things up here,
No,
but
we're starting to wind her down. By the way, last comments in there. Feel free to throw last comments. Eric is calling shenanigans. He's claiming Brad will never take his title. He says he's the champ. I think he misspelled chump. So I think that's lies. But you know what would give me a championship caliber thing to do? Hitting the like button. Because then I will send our local chump a big old bill. Every time you hit the like button, I send Eric a bill, and he wants to pay because he's sitting there like, all that money I saved from Expo. He sent me a message earlier. He said, all that money I saved from Expo, I am putting towards the like button fund. Big time, big money, big money.
I just want to see how much chaos is going to happen in New York. New Jersey won 4-0 tonight. Like, there's going to be some. I can't wait to see the offseason. If New Jersey goes on and wins this series, they're up 3-2. The offseason with the Rangers is going to be it's crazy. Like, they've built this super team.
Yep. And right now, just so we're up to date here, Tampa did win Game 5. So now it's 3-2. So now on sports radio, the Leaf fans will be panicking as we speak. And I told Luke, I go, if this goes to 7, it'll be DEFCON 1. It'll be like, there'll be like alerts. I'll be like, all of a sudden you hear like the air raid sirens off in the distance. It's like, all right then, let's go. So that'll be interesting. Jersey Devils, to your point, is up 3-2, and the Vegas Golden Knights will be playing later tonight with a chance to end it from Winnipeg if they're victorious this evening. So we'll see what happens. I think puck drop's coming up, or if it hasn't already, it's coming up shortly. So we'll wind her down. Any last comments or thoughts? Again, we wanted to talk a little bit about Expo. I'll talk a little bit more about Expo tomorrow for sure on the Friday show. I've got more stories. I've actually got the stack of cards that I picked up, and there's a story to every card. So I'll get a chance to chat about that in a little more depth. We'll take a little time and have some fun. The only way the Leafs will exercise anything is winning a Game 7. So that means they got to lose 2 more times. Is that what you're going for, Rod? Because the only way we're getting to Game 7 is they got to lose 2 more. Which, again, air raid sirens going off in the distance. When I do a pickup video, I make the joke about the train that's nearby here. It's like, that's air raid siren. Leafs are in Game 7. Panic is setting in. And look, again, going back to your point, Brad, about Kevin. On Friday night, Dallas is playing. I'm going to be sitting here, this very chair on Friday on my channel, wearing a Dallas Star jersey, looking over in the corner going, you better not screw this up. I swear. But I'll be watching. Over on the side. Yes, sir. There you go, Rod. I love it. All right, guys. So any last thoughts or comments, feel free to throw them in there. Eric is saying everything I said is true. He pays for every single like button, and he loves it. Loves it. He's sitting there like, I could pay $300 for a box of SP Legends, or I could pay for the like button. He goes, I choose the like button. That's what this man said. Trust me. But yes. Otherwise, it'll be a lot of fun as I said earlier. Go ahead.
I forgot something.
Go ahead.
Did we go back? I have to honor my bets, and I think we forgot the Connor McDavid point total.
Well, now Connor McDavid point total. Yes. We had a couple different ones. So we ended up, I think it was 152 was the final total. I'll double check. It was 152 or 153.
Okay.
I'll get the real number just to make sure we got it right. I'll make sure I get the right one. And then the only thing I need to know, obviously we can double check the chat or whatever, but do you happen to know the various folks? Did you jot down anybody?
No, I didn't do it.
Okay. So let me give, so 153 is the official total. 153 is the real number.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident somebody said I think a couple of folks said 152, and I'm pretty sure somebody hit on 153. It's got to be somebody got close.
Yeah.
So maybe
we'll honor that.
Our takeaway then is to double check. We need to double check because we had a couple of weeks worth of shows, and we definitely somebody got close or nailed it. I'm pretty confident.
Okay.
So Nova says happy collecting. Absolutely. The train. All hail the train. That's right, Paul. Paul knows. It's all about the train. But yes, we will follow up and double check who was victorious for that, and then we'll also figure out how we can have them get in touch. By the way, don't forget the contacts down here are valid. And then we'll kind of go from there. Also, as we're kind of winding down, again on your way out, I would appreciate if you hit the like button. We're trying to build up the channel still, and we're gonna have some more fun with that in the summer here upcoming. Also, if you could subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, we're getting close to 300 subscriptions. So let's get to 300. I love the even numbers; they're fun. So you go. If you want, you can buy me a slice from Kenny's instead of a free graded card. Look at this. No, look at this. Love it. All right. So good stuff, folks. Thank you all for hanging out as always. We took a week off for the expo, but we came back now. So we're back going to be on our schedule here for a bit, and we'll let you know if there's any changes to the scheduling as we go through into the summer. Otherwise, though, appreciate you as always. We'll come back with some other topics. And if you check this out on replay, if there's anything in particular you guys want us to chat on, it's always good to have topics and things as well. We'll talk about whatever's going on that time. And we've got some industry things that are coming up here that could be very interesting. But we're waiting for more information. I want to get a little more information before we get too much deeper into that. So I think we'll have some fun with that as well. Otherwise, folks, have yourself a great evening. If you're in Canada or Eric is, in a Canadian protectorate in Massachusetts, enjoy the rest of the hockey playoffs because we're going to have some more stuff coming up. And we should, by the next time we speak, we'll have all our round one stuff figured out. And we'll know what round two is looking like. Luke, any last minute Stanley Cup Finals predictions? Anybody?
No, but go Oilers.
Oh, he's going with the goal. Look, for McDavid's sake, we better see these guys advance. Like, it's not looking good. Luke, I don't want to alarm you, but I've been hearing, and Brad knows this, I've been hearing some Connor McDavid, Mike Trout comparisons. And you don't want to go full Trout, Luke. You don't want that. You don't want that. Because if it happens, I might have to say a thing or two about it on the Friday show. Just throwing it out there. You don't want, and by the way, I'm not the one making that comparison, but somebody threw it at me. I go, be careful the forces you're doing. That's like saying Beetlejuice 3 times. Careful whatever you're invoking. All right. Thank you, James. Have yourself a good evening. Everybody, thank you for joining in as always. We will catch you in the next one.
Thanks, everyone.